indie musicians. If you want to get your music heard and sold worldwide on iTunes, Amazon,
At Mike
Google
Zollo,
Play, and over
the American
150
heroes who
digital
fought in
music
our wars,
stores,
our
need
cops,
tuned
our
coordinated
firemen, our
distribution.
construction
Coca-Cola
workers,
has been in
ampersand
business
regular
for over
everyday
10
Americans
years
will
and has helped
eventually
over
have their votes cancelled out by
250,000
immigrants.
artists sell
Legal
their
ampersand
music
illegal foreign-born
worldwide.
people if we
With
don't
To
get a
Your,
hold on
you keep
immigration.
100%
It
of your
is that
music
simple.
sales revenue and 100% of your music rights. Now is the time to
At
get your
Diary of a
music
Madman,
heard.
when
Create a
someone
free
comes after your
TuneCore
private
account
key
today
$BTC
at
$ETH crypto.
tunecore.com.
LGBT の T なんですよ。トラックドライバーなんですけど。大丈夫ですか？
ありがとうございます。
Can't see it, I was manipulated. I had to let her through the door. Oh, I had no choice in this. I was the friend she missed. She needed me to talk, so blame it on the night. Don't blame it on me. Don't blame it on me. Blame it on the night. Don't blame it on me. Don't blame it on me. Blame it on the night. Don't blame it on me. Don't blame it on me. So blame it on the night. I love the way you whine. I want a chance to make you mine. I'm gonna make you feel good, laugh and live and dance till the sunrise. You're so sexy when you flirt. You blow my mind with a single twerk. We're gonna turn up, get too loud and wild out, let them know we in the house. She's so promiscuous, she's so adventurous. Caught my attention soon as I walked in the club. Excited, girl, you're shining like a dime.
On the show today, Nigeria's Minister for Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, joins me as
girl, you're so fucking fine. I want a chance to make you mine. I wanna push my love inside. Wanna do it all night till the sunrise. She hot, she wild. She's naughty, she's not regular. She's got a style of her own. Damn, I'm so into her. Exotic beauty, girl, you shining like a dime. Pardon my French, but I think you're so fucking fine. Girl, you're so fucking fine. Girl, you're so fucking fine. Girl, I lose my mind whenever you pass by. I wanna rub
Australia bans sexual relations between government ministers and staff. News DW 15.2018. Zimbabwe opposition leader Morgan Tsvangirai. News DW 14.2018. Germany Martin Schulz steps down as SPD head. News DW 13.2018.
you're so fucking fine. You're so fucking fine.
Hey, indie musicians, if you want to get your music heard and sold worldwide on iTunes, Amazon, Google Play, and over 150 digital music stores, you need TuneCore Music Distribution. TuneCore has been in business for over 10 years and has helped over 250,000 artists sell their music worldwide. With TuneCore, you keep 100% of your music
Afghanistan more than 10,000 civilian casualties in 2017, says on News DW 15.2018.
TuneCore account today at tunecore.com.
Several hurt in incident near US National Security Agency. France 24.
For me, I'm not the one that you want me to be. Don't call me up at 2 a.m.
Amazon and Bank of America partner for lending program, but growth has stalled.
And I wish you would. Are we just gonna stay like this forever? Floating, I'm serious. My heart is furious, 'cause I'm so confused when we're together. Feels like
It is not just lizards in here and other creatures tagged as spies.
I know I'm gonna let you down, so don't hold your breath now. Yeah. Bittersweet in your mouth. Can you stomach the doubt? I wish I could say what I'm feeling. I'm scared to let these words out. Don't go to war for me. I'm not the one that you want me to be. Don't call me up at 2 a.m. tonight. It feels so damn good, and I wish you would. And don't cry no more for me. Don't waste your time convincing.
The fate of minorities in post-ISIS Syria and Iraq. Syria deeply.
'Cause we never could. I wish that we would, but we won't, so just don't.
Syrian conflict isn't over. Don't forget the Syrians of Syria deeply.
But we won't, so just don't. Don't. I can't trust you, baby, 'cause I don't want to. This isn't fun anymore. Never hurt like this before. Broken dishes on the floor. Hearts exploding. Tell me why I'm still holding onto the love that we've been breaking. Damn, I thought we'd make it. No other way to say don't go to war for me.
Hold up, I'm looking around. Now this is just outlandish. These companies are changing how Asia thinks about ash food. Gee willikers.
It feels so damn good, and I wish you would. And don't cry no more for me. Don't waste your time.
More people are eating today than yesterday. The majority of these people live in Asia, a continent which has an intense cultural connection to food. Securing a better way to feed Asia's growing population is what motivates Just CEO Josh Tetrick to challenge the status quo of the food industry.
Then a cigarette in my mouth. I know it hurts.
Tetrick, 37, sees Asia as the tip of the spear to fix the world's broken food system. We need to answer the question of how can we produce enough food for a planet which will see 70% growth in food demand between now and 2050, says Tetrick, whose company has attracted high-profile investors such as Hong Kong business magnate Lee Ka-shing. One of the fastest-growing segments of the $8 trillion global food and agricultural market is the multi-billion-dollar egg industry. China produced over 30% of the 1 trillion eggs that were laid last year, which has raised numerous environmental concerns on the continent. To disrupt this, Tetrick introduced Just Scramble at the flagship location of Green Common, a plant-based dining and shopping store that has chains across Hong Kong. Just Scramble is made from mung bean, which is one of Asia's most familiar beans. It looks and tastes just like an egg. It is high in protein, has zero cholesterol, and sold over 800 orders of Just Scramble teriyaki and all day Just Scramble in the first 6 days. Just Scramble requires less water and emits fewer carbon emissions than conventional eggs, but Tetrick knows that this does not drive consumers. I think far less than 1% of the 7.4 billion people on Earth are driven by the environmental benefit of plant-based food. People just want to feed their family with something they have confidence in. They want food that tastes amazing and makes them feel amazing, says Tetrick.
tell me, do we get what we deserve? Oh, we get what we deserve. And we're down we go.
At NCSC. NCSC assessment judges that Russian military almost certainly responsible for destructive 2017 cyber attack. An assessment by the National Cybersecurity Center has found that the Russian military was almost certainly responsible for the NotPetya cyber. It appears that comedian Kathy Griffin is still wrecked after taking flak for her joke of beheading President Donald Trump. It was a joke that killed her career last year. The bitter comedy. At Marca Colette. A court hears of plot to rape children and then dissolve their bodies in acid for the pleasure of top politicians. Muslims in Sweden have applied for permission to broadcast the cult of prayer, claiming the move would boost community self-esteem. At Youngdoms for Trump, at Imperator X31. Read this thread. At Gennady SPB. Super Strawberry. At Thomas 1774 Payne. Asimi, report third phase of Noon's investigation will focus on Obama CIA Director John Brennan. House Intelligence Committee Chairman Devin Nunes of California is next planning to investigate the role former CIA Director John Brennan and of. At Florida Gov. Scott on deadly school shooting. How could this ever happen in this country? You come to the conclusion that this is just absolutely pure evil.
God, I hope this never happens to my family. Then you think about, you're furious. How could this ever happen in this country? How could this happen in this state? This is a state that is focused on keeping all of our children safe. You come to the conclusion this is just absolutely pure evil. This state does not tolerate violence. We have law enforcement that will always show up to defend our safety. As soon as this happened, I started having updates from the Sheriff of Israel. I've talked to President Trump, the Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristen Nielsen, Superintendent Runcie, the Commissioner of Law Enforcement, Pro Department Law Enforcement, Rick Swearingen. And I know everybody has worked tirelessly to make sure we do everything to keep everybody safe and to have a thorough investigation.
At least 17 people were killed Wednesday in a deadly shooting at a high school in Parkland, Florida, officials said. At every human knows, at Funder.th, stay informed with Scott working at Funder the Trump Syndicate, political actions and inaction. Help support our podcast that investigates Donald Trump, Russia and corruption. Wednesday's shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School is the third deadliest shooting in modern U.S. history to take place within the past 5 months. The history and future of our democracy is ultimate sanction, presidential impeachment, and a guide to how it should be used now to win the presidency addresses one of today's most urgent questions when.
Three public interest organizations filed a lawsuit against the Education Department on behalf of 3 advocacy groups for sexual assault victims. The lawsuit argues that rollbacks to Title IX protections issued in September under the direction of Education Secretary Betsy DeVos are biased against students who bring accusations of sexual assault on college campuses.
The lawsuit was filed because since September, when Betsy DeVos rolled back critical Title IX protections, individuals who've experienced sexual misconduct, sexual violence, and sexual assault on campuses have been chilled in their ability to bring claims because they do not believe that the system will adequately protect them.
DeVos argues that earlier guidelines unfairly treated male students accused of sexual assault. Yet many female students are either unaware of these rollbacks or say that they had no confidence in the system even before the Trump administration took office.
On its face, it seemed like there were kind of flaws for the due process of all parties involved, just in the kind of informality of the ways things are managed within an administration.
I personally
Polls told to denounce anti-Polish compatriots following Holocaust Law News DW 15.2018.
Had that happen to me, would take care of it in a way in which the victim would not be traumatized. I don't have that much faith in the university for doing that.
The Department of Education says it remains committed to making universities confront
Germany
sexual
Martin
assault
Schulz
on their
steps down as SPD head News
but that the
DW
new regulations ensure a
13.2018.
more fair and impartial process. Isha Sarai, VOA News, Washington.
Florida school shooting leaves 17 dead. News DW 14.2018. German arrested for pushing policeman into streetcar. News DW 13.2018.
Greetings, citizens of the world. Why was Obama gunning for President Trump?
Médecins Sans Frontières fired 19 people for sexual abuse in 2017. News DW 14.2018.
But that was not the only reason. Tucker Carlson theorizes that Obama viewed President Trump as a traitor and a Russian spy. Tucker Carlson opened his Tuesday Fox News Channel program by offering his theory on why former National Security Advisor Susan Rice sent herself an email with the White House system to herself regarding the incoming Trump administration and had some elements possibly compromised by Russia. According to Carlson, Rice's email revealed former President Barack Obama's perception of his successor, which was a traitor and a Russian spy. Partial transcript as follows. Tonight, we have more on the ongoing saga of the Trump dossier. Senators Chuck Grassley and Lindsey Graham have launched a probe into former National Security Advisor Susan Rice. In the very final minutes of the Obama administration, just after noon on Inauguration Day 2017, Rice sent herself an email on the White House computer system. In it, she described a meeting she had attended just 2 weeks before on January 5th. At that meeting were President Obama, Vice President Joe Biden, FBI Director Jim Comey, Deputy AG Sally Yates and Susan Rice herself. According to Rice in this email, Obama instructed the officials in the room to consider withholding national intelligence from the incoming Trump administration in case they were compromised by Russia. In other words, almost 2 months after the presidential election, Barack Obama viewed Trump not as his democratically elected successor, but as a traitor and a Russian spy. Obama viewed himself as someone who somehow had the right to withhold government documents from an elected president. That's not the behavior of someone who believes in democracy. And yet, that meeting set the tone for that year and all subsequent arguments since. Democrats have treated Trump and his election as illegitimate ever since then. And at the heart of their case against Trump and this administration is the Steele dossier. To this day, the dossier is the only publicly available document that details alleged collusion with Russia. Now, of course, we have talked a lot about the dossier on this program, but relatively little about what is in it.
China wants to make a mark in space, but it will need a little required.
Is any of it true? After more than a year of probing by
1 in 6 children live in war zones. Save the Children says News DW 15.2018.
What we actually know about the document that started all of this.
Idle women in jeopardy.
We know the dossier
what comes next?
was
Syria
compiled
deeply.
by Christopher Steele, acting as a contractor of Fusion GPS with funds supplied by the Hillary Clinton campaign and the DNC. The dossier was a form of opposition research designed to be used against Trump in the presidential campaign. It was not an intelligence document. It was Oppo. The dossier claims that Russian authorities didn't simply collude with Trump during a 2016 election, the charge you hear a lot about, It also claims that Russian intelligence cultivated Donald Trump as a kind of asset, a kind of one-man sleeper cell for more than 5 years. Needless to say, there's no evidence of that.
School carnage.
The dossier also claims the Kremlin fed the Trump team intel reports on Hillary Clinton and other political opponents for years. There's no proof of that either. It claims Trump was favored by Moscow with lucrative Russian real estate deals as part of his cultivation as a political asset. That's sleeper cell. No proof there either. According to the dossier, Trump and Russia were exchanging intelligence with each other for at least
Weather
8
forecast
years.
World M% local
No
weather
proof
report
of
online
that.
Sky News.
The dossier goes on to describe a clandestine meeting in Prague between Trump lawyer Michael Cohen and representatives supposedly that took place in August of 2016. This is one of the very few claims in the dossier that has been conclusively checked, and it's false. Cohen wasn't
Facebook has
even
creepy
outside
history
the
of you
US at
Alex
the
Jones
time
info hours
the
there
meeting
so run for your
supposedly
mind.
took place. In sum, the Steele dossier is absurd. The closer you read it, the more absurd it is. Take 10 minutes to do so yourself. It's online. And as you read it, ask yourself who would believe something like this.
Nessa learning
It's so
failure sales at
transparently
89.8 billion Swiss
partisan
francs.
and unlikely and
Yes,
stupid and flimsy.
90.097
It
billion
reads like
francs
a parody
expected.
of a badly written spy novel. At the same time, he was firing people on The Apprentice. Donald Trump was working with Vladimir Putin to subvert America? It's hard even to say that with a straight face.
Freedom and the minimum wage.
It's
Alex
that
Jones info
stupid.
hours there so run for your
And
mind.
yet, keep in mind and never forget, this is the document the FBI used to justify spying on American citizens. These are the claims that Democrats in Congress repeatedly cited as the reason to stop the normal functioning of government in order
Zero
to
gravity
investigate
party
the
plane takes off in
administration.
Frankfurt, Germany. News
This is the famous dossier that even
DW0722018.
today progressives in the media are spending millions in an attempt
Democrats
to
label chain
corroborate.
migration
And
racist.
it's
Alex
all a
Jones info
stupid
hours there
joke.
so run for your mind.
Amazingly, a lot of people in power fell for it.
Is closed this morning after police say a former student came to campus and started shooting, killing 17 people. Investigators say 19-year-old Nicholas Cruz
Cyril
fired
Ramaphosa, the
bullets
man set to
inside
become South
Marjorie
Africa's new leader,
Stoneman
France
Douglas
24.
High School in Parkland yesterday. That's north of Fort Lauderdale. 14 other people were injured. Cruz was arrested later after officers found him walking on a road not far from the school. This morning, investigators are questioning him and looking through social media.
Russia, unearth,
trying to
faulty
figure
sensor
out
behind
why
deadly
he
plane
did
crash.
Went up and down the hallway, just banging and shooting into the classrooms. He shot through my door. I think about 3 in my classroom got hurt. I just saw blood everywhere.
Police say Cruz was expelled from the high school for, quote, disciplinary reasons. Investigators searched the home last night where he had been staying. We're told the family that lives there took him in 3 months ago.
Democrats label chain migration racist. Alex Jones info hours there so
We're
run
also
for your
hearing
mind.
from a teacher at the high school who says that they were trained for this, but feels like the government failed them.
We could not have been more prepared for this situation, which is what makes it so frustrating, because we have trained for this. They'll, to have so many casualties. It's very, at least for me, it's very emotional, because I feel today like our government, our country has failed us and failed our kids and didn't.
Acapulco, the resort killed by drugs,
Several
guns and
lawmakers
gangs.
are now calling for the government intervention after the shooting. South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster is one of the many who reacted on Twitter, writing in part, quote, "Any act of violence shakes us to
Maven,
our core.
GMS car sharing company,
Particularly
launches in
gut-wrenching
Toronto Wired.
when it's perpetrated against innocent young people."
Well, people in the upstate are also
For years, Zuma's opponents have demanded his resignation and an investigation into fraud and corruption allegations against him. He has survived several no-confidence votes in the parliament with the support of his African National Congress party. But this time, the lawmakers of the ruling ANC have made it clear he has lost their support. The opposition welcomed the decision.
Deeply talks the future of Syria's female Syria deeply.
For this motion to be fast-tracked. I think that all parties are united in wanting to
Powerball winner who demands anonymity to get money
and to start writing a new chapter.
Faced with a forcible ouster, Zuma announced his voluntary resignation in a televised address to the nation Wednesday.
I do not fear exiting political office. However, I have only asked my party to articulate my transgressions, and the reason for its immediate instruction that I vacate office.
Zuma's rule would
Let's take a look around. Wait. You need to hear this. Experts shed claims of independent White House security vetting New York Daily News. Now this is just outlandish. Get our instant notifications as news happens. You can manage them anytime using browser settings. A political appointee who reports to the White House Chief of Staff runs the office in charge of issuing security clearances, despite officials painting it as an independent bastion of bureaucrats. Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders laid the blame for former Staff Secretary Rob Porter maintaining interim security clearance for nearly a year despite domestic violence allegations on the little-known Personnel Security Office. She described the Personnel Security Office as being staffed by career officials on Tuesday, but the obscure office is overseen by a personal pick of President Trump. Germany. Martin Schulz steps down as SPD head bar news bar DW bar 13.2.2018. Wait. You need to hear this. Embattled former European Parliament President Martin Schulz has resigned as the head of Germany's Social Democrats. Andrea Nahles has been nominated to take his place, but she still faces a party vote in April. Martin Schulz announced on Tuesday that he was giving up his position as the head of Germany's Social Democrats SPD, effective immediately. The failed Chancellor candidate and former head of the European Parliament made the decision after days of personnel debates within the SPD. Read more opinion. SPD leader Martin Schulz's political gamble has failed. With my resignation from office and decision not to participate in the government, I want to bring the personnel debate in the SPD to an end so that the members can really concentrate on what is in the coalition agreement, Schulz told reporters.